So in order to make sure that our research problem is something of a good quality, we also ask questions whether the problem is a new one or an existing one. If it's a new one, we also ask whether the answer will be available, or it's researchable. There's resources out there in order to answer the problem, to solve the problem. Or if it's an existing one, we also ask the question whether the answer is already available, and if it's available, is it sufficiently researched, or is there any other more alternative solution to it, the answer to it, to the existing problem. And in order to do this, a researcher really need to read a lot, and then probe deeper in the literature and see the patterns, see the trend, see what previous researchers have found in the previous studies. And from there, we can decide. A researcher can really determine, these kind of questions, and and make sure that the problem is actually something really overarching, something really significant. Or else, if we don't really know what's the trend, we don't read enough, we just gonna waste our time coming out with something, with a problem that is actually trivial or insignificant. So we said that how, in order to decide on the trend, or to make sure we come up with a good research problem, we have to read a lot. So basically, we just have to really spend a lot of time to carefully select our research problem in our research. And this research problem hopefully will be actually beneficial to our profession, to our needs, to our passion or interest. And that's why it's more makes sense if we, as a researcher, develop a research study in an area that is related to our professional work, professional goals, that can help improve our professional practices, and at the end improve overall overall understanding of the knowledge. Okay, and we can look at research problems from many sources out there. First, we will definitely go and seek published quality articles, research articles, scholarly articles, preferable peer-reviewed articles, or we can even go to unpublished articles for a good start. Sometimes unpublished articles is not a bad quality. It's just it's more like a technical report, or something is more specific to an organization. It's just very specific, and that's why it's not published. It's more to inform practices for that organization. And although some people might discourage looking at the problems using dissertation or unpublished thesis, students' thesis as a source for the research problems, I think sometimes good dissertation, good thesis will come out with will give you ideas on how or what are the problems that is potentially research problems. So be wise in selecting the dissertation and stuff. Go through the abstract, and then sometimes you just read through the abstract, and then you can get bigger idea. I'm sorry, bigger idea. So here, then we said that we read we read a lot to decide on the research problem. And while we read, we'll definitely decide. Okay, we definitely can discover, what are the research design or method or approach that can help us solve that particular problem. And this is again a revision of the previous lecture, that we know that research we have design, we have quantitative study, and we have qualitative study or design. And in quantitative study, it is general to specific. It's more deductive, in which we narrow down the problem, we relate it to the theory. Means a general theory, and then we start researching on it, get evidence, and use it to support our theory. So basically we come up with a theory, and we we decide on what are the hypotheses, based on the variables, the independent variables and the dependent variables, basically identify the relationship. And then we also decide on who's going to be the sample and what is the larger population. Sampling technique we're gonna go through in the next lecture. And yeah, basically this is briefly is who's going to be in the study, identify the sample, and hopefully then from there we can come up with a really clear research questions. So basically quantitative study is a deductive study. It is often used to test or confirm or reject hypotheses. And then we also have qualitative study, which is more inductive. It is more of an exploratory nature. It's open-ended, especially at the beginning phase. We can ask anything, and just to observe something based on specific observations. We explore, we see the problems, and that's why it's inductive in a way. It's like specific, from specific to broader generalizations. We start with an observation, and then based on the observation we start to identify emerging or recurring patterns or themes, and from these patterns or themes we can actually provide conclusions or solutions, or even develop theories based on the observations and stuff. So I have here a good link that could explain inductive and deductive in more detail and with more specific examples. Just check it out. Okay, so now what exactly are the steps actually? So in the previous lectures we've done this, and you've already for my students, you already have your own research problem in the Google Drive, in Google document. And we look at research problem, the problem statement as in a one paragraph is better. We said that it should be formulated in a one paragraph with research objectives in there, with all the variables that we want to study and everything, and how these variables are interrelated. So that's basically our problem statement. So we have the problem, and then now we basically narrow down in basic what will be the purpose of the research based on the problem, and we have all the cases, variables or entity, and how these entities, variables or cases, are related to each other. And from there we come up with a problem statement. So we have a problem statement. Now we want to turn it into a set of questions, good questions, as much as possible. Basically, it's actually research questions is actually the key to our study, to the research problem. So basically we want it to be precise, and it actually covers the exact issue. Its focus again covers exactly the issue that we want to address, and then we also decide on how we're gonna answer the questions, basically indicate how you create your answer. That's why in our reading list, again for my student, I ask you also to decide on what are your research questions based on your research title and problem statement, and also specifically decide on how do you want to answer the questions immediately after each question. Here we have four basically essential general characteristics of a research question. A question should be feasible, means it can be investigated without, a lot of without using a lot of time, a lot of energy or money, hopefully, because unless we have fundings or grants or good grants or good amount of funds, then we can do it. But if it's usually to be practical, it should be feasible. It should have kind of like some specific amount of time that it's not too long, and it doesn't require a lot of. It's not costly. Okay, and then the question should be clear because we we want to know, okay, when we said that we have attitude in the research question, how we want to measure it, or what does it mean by attitude. If we are saying like student achievement, what do we mean by the student achievement? So what about student achievement that we mean, that we want to research. And then the question should be significant too. Again, overarching, worth investigating, because the most important thing is like it contributes to the subject matter, to the knowledge. And then at the very end, the most important. I don't say that this is the most important, but it's equally important. But I think this is a very serious issue. So when we form research questions, it should be ethical. Means it will not physically or psychologically damage or harm human beings or the natural social environment. It doesn't pollute, come up with cause pollution or kill people or something, be destructive. And here I think in Malaysia we have EPRD, the one for the research and development, the body. In the United States, we have IRB, Institutional Review Board, that will protect human subject. This is where they make sure all this ethical thing will be adhere before they're gonna approve certain research. We talked about the issue with the researcher who actually stopped homosexual people, and actually followed them home and tried to do research on them, secretly. So basically, that's an invasion of privacy. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for this video, and I'm gonna continue in part 3 for chapter 2.